Greetings, YouTube. So, there is a Canadian psychologist named Jordan Peterson. He has some unusual views of the world. Now, he's discussing things that frankly don't really have anything to do with psychology. They have a lot to do with social conservatism, the patriarchy, and toxic masculinity. You see, Mr. Peterson thinks that the solution to mass shootings, the solution to terrorist attacks of men upon the public because they are sexually frustrated, is enforced monogamy. Yes, Mr. Peterson actually endorses the idea of the government forcing women to marry men so the men have access to sex so that they will not be as angry and they will pose less of a danger to society. Let that one wash over you there for a second. This is a licensed psychologist endorsing the idea that society has to enslave women and put them into situations where they will be maritally raped whenever their husbands would like. So the men won't be so angry and will pose less of a threat to society and won't drive vans into sidewalks killing people or shoot them up in mass shootings. Now you can imagine there are people who think that maybe Mr. Peterson should no longer be a psychologist. And that's kind of interesting because someone did an article about this. Says this was adjudicated by the College of Psychologists in Ontario. When your psychologist goes viral, how Jordan Peterson's fame affected his private practices. And this is a little gem here, so I'm going to quote it for you. Shortly before Jordan Peterson decided he couldn't be both a media personality and a practicing psychologist at the same time, he canceled sessions with patients, later claiming illness, while maintaining an appointment to appear on television. He responded to messages from patients with auto-reply emails, which brought up the challenges of his burgeoning fame, directing recipients to send argumentative emails to his ideologically opponents. He employed his wife to sort through emails from patients without first asking for their consent. Does Canadian have HIPAA laws? He shared potential identifying information about patients with other patients, and he twice visited the restaurant where his former patient worked, returning after she had implored him not to, having seemingly forgotten that she worked there. Now, one of the things that fascinates me with this is that even though he endorsed the concept of commodifying a human, of saying that we have to enforce a level of equality to sexual access to angry men, this little gem of a person doesn't believe in the idea of economic equality. He is, in fact, from what I can tell, somewhat of a libertarian in that regard. So, libertarian enough that he would like the government to force women into slavery and constant rape, but doesn't support the idea of economic equality. Yes, Mr. Peterson is a real gem. He is obviously not well, and he has a philosophy which is twisted and warped, to say the least. His ideology is horrible. Because, you see, he has that little doctorate in front of his name, and because he looks like a nice, well-mannered white person, people listen. And the people that like this idea, the potential rapists out there who are sexually frustrated because they can't engage in actual relationships with people because of their own problems, love this guy. This is bad. And we need to speak out against him, and we need to make sure people know about him, and we need to make sure they understand that his ideology is twisted and warped and does nothing but serve social conservatism, toxic masculinity, and the patriarchy. It's just astounding, and we need to fight back against it. So, go check out the Metafilter thread I'll be linking to. There are a number of good comments there, and at the bottom of it there is the link to the quote I just read. Yeah, so just astounding. A man that is a failure as a professional, and frankly, his ideology shows a massive failure in sympathy, empathy, and compassion.